This video was made possible by Dashlane. Stay safe online for free for 30 days by signing up at dashlane.com/HAI. Happy birthday to me. I'm now 2 years old. Not me as in Sam, the person doing the voiceover, but me as in the sentient media conglomerate commonly referred to as half as interesting. Now, as a bit of behind the scenes, things have changed a lot in the last 2 years, and in our office, our US office that is, we now have a team of about 180 working on each of our weekly videos. There's the topic creation team, the writing team, the good joke writing team, bad joke writing team, animation team, audio editing team, music team, body double team, stunt double team, barometric pressure forecasting team, makeup team, pyrotechnics team, Southeast Mongolian regional syndication team, passive-aggressive commenting on bright side copies of our videos team, and of course, the fact-checking team. The dirty truth, though, is that they kinda suck. It's just Arnold in his second generation Kindle. I honestly don't know how he expects to look anything up on that, but because of the things he didn't catch, we get more content. This is episode 2 of our now annual mistakes correction series because, let's be honest, we're not getting through a whole year without making more. Alright, let's pull up the first video with oh, that's embarrassing. Yeah, so in the Dashlane ad at the end of last year's mistake correction video, I said that this password was more secure than this one, which counterintuitively is false. There's a whole XKCD on it if you want to learn why, but I'd rather learn why these islands are part of the UK. Good thing there's a whole video on it, but be warned, if you use the subtitles, they say that the UK's motivation for claiming these was partially for killing whales. Now, this clearly is the spelling of the country Wales, not the intended nautical whales. Speaking of human-eating animals, do you remember watching the HAI video about how polar bears ruined Halloween in northern Canada? No? Oh, well, don't worry, nobody else does either. There's no mistake in that video. The mistake was making the video in the first place because it's the least viewed HAI video of all time. What was not a mistake, though, was NASA's decision to not launch Big Bird into space, for a lot of reasons. One keen commenter pointed out that the Space Shuttle Challenger didn't actually explode as our video said. Basically, an O-ring seal on one of the rocket boosters failed, and so the escaped gases burnt up the booster and created a cloud of gas and fire that looked like an explosion. The space shuttle then broke up due to aerodynamic forces as it fell back to Earth. But now for some slightly more cheery news. It turns out that the sun has not yet set on the British Empire as our video mistakenly said. It turns out that there is always a piece of British territory in daylight, but there wouldn't be if not for this. The tiny 50-person South Pacific Pitcairn Island. Sounds like a pretty interesting place, yeah? If only there was a 6-part, well-produced, critically acclaimed podcast about it by a very great and cool YouTuber. Oh wait, there is. It's by me, and it's available at extremitiespodcast.com. As good as that segue was, this one will be, in the video about Centralia, I talked about Centralia, the town that's been on fire since 1962. I referenced the Lehigh Valley Coal Company, the very one nice enough to grace this town with free heating by leaving their coal mine on fire for decades, but I show this building. It turns out, though, that this building is not, in fact, the Lehigh Valley Coal Company headquarters as suggested, but rather the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Building. Don't worry, you're safe now. You no longer have to live in a world where you think that this is the Lehigh Valley Coal Company headquarters building like some pleb. It's okay. Who's not safe though is the HAI animation department, because in the video about the super completely 100% real $100,000 bill, the country of El Salvador is shown on the map, but this isn't even remotely close to where El Salvador is. Like 0% of El Salvador is here. At least in this video, 33.3% of the word one is spelled correctly. You see, at the end of the video, I put a secret code in, but it turns out I misspelled the word one, which is about as unsurprising as Germany violating the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Spelling is just hard, as evidence in the video about Ireland's accidental 2-day drug legalization, where unconstitutional is misspelled not once, but twice. You see, the problem is that After Effects doesn't have spell check, and then the animators copy and paste to save time, they're all Dutch and they don't know how to use Google, and oh, you don't care? Well, guess what? I don't care about all your comments about how I mispronounce absentia in the video about the disappearing Australian Prime Minister. Language is fluid, buddy. What's also fluid is the Guinness World Records definition of what China is, because on the page of the record we showed for the video on the world's fastest elevator, they apparently thought that Shanghai was in Japan. They've since corrected the webpage though. I guess I really am an influencer. What I'm not though is a mathist. Mathentist? That's why I got wrong that 7-bit counters can represent any number between 0 and 127 rather than 1 and 127. If you represented how many American cruise ships there are with a 7-bit counter though, it would look like this because there's only one. In the video on that, I referenced the Jones Act a few times as the reason for the laws the video is about, while it was in fact the Passenger Vessels Services Act of 1886. Also, one of the normal restrictions these laws have that I talked about is how the crew has to be 100% American on American flagged ships, but it turns out that the cruise ship talked about was granted a special exemption to have only a majority of its crew as American. To be fair, that was probably our worst mistake of the year. What there's also only one of is UAE license plates that look like this, which sold for $14.3 million and made for a great video. In it, the head animator for some reason put some Japanese up. I really don't know why. What's worse, he got it wrong. It was supposed to say the first state, but instead it said the first state. Oh, well, okay, to be clear, that means state as in state of matter, where it should be state as in state of Delaware. It's a different character in Japanese. In the quarter as interesting episode, I was in a state of denial that emu is pronounced emu instead of emu, and I still am. Language is fluid, remember? Kind of like a convection current, which, as it turns out, should look more like this rather than the way it was shown in the video about Canada's missing gravity. Now, we're done. Those were all our mistakes from the last year. Probably, I don't really know. Although, I wonder what happens if we make a mistake in this video. Anyway, it doesn't matter because there's more important things to focus on, like the fantastic deal that Dashlane.com is. In the Mistakes podcast, I said there's more important things to focus on. I said there should be there are more mistakes you are. You know what? Too distracted talking about podcasts. That's why usually I just use earlier I said they were Technology has gone too far. I'm sorry. We were doing this AI scriptwriting experiment, and I think our evil competitors got into the back end. I knew I shouldn't have made my password AI password. It's just, I always have such a hard time remembering passwords that are any more complex. Unless, what if there was one central place where I could store all my passwords behind one super secure password that I, a mere mortal, could remember? And then, what if it filled super secure passwords in on my devices when I go to log in to websites? And then what if it also had plenty of other included features like secure autofill for payment info, breach alerts when account is compromised, a VPN with country selection, and dark web monitoring to see if your data is being bought and sold on the dark web? And then what if this was all for a ridiculously low monthly price? And then what if it were called Dashlane and you could get a 30-day free trial at dashlane.com/HAI, and then if you like it, you could use the coupon code HAI to get 10% off when you upgrade to premium? That would be cool. And then, wait, how am I supposed to end this?